So on Maxis, they were on an old version of Kentico and wanted to move to a headless methodology system. They didn't really know which one, but they wanted some advice. So we helped them come up with some options, one of which being Contentful, and we really thought that was the best system for them. We worked with the partnership team at Contentful to really spec out what they needed in terms of space sizing, the licensing, etc., all that kind of thing. We also introduced Contentful to Maxis, and they provided demos and really took the sales cycle to help that and get through to the end. So our relationship with Contentful was really important for Maxis to feel confident that they had chosen a good system. So when building the Maxis project, we wanted to move away from a monolithic infrastructure, they were on Kentico before, to a more Mac-friendly, API-first, composable infrastructure that had longevity and was easily extended in the future. A couple of things we did to do this. One was to take an API-first approach. Maxis have various data constructs that are pulled into the site, mainly user data from one login in Azure. So we built an API to be able to do this. This means that the data can be used on the site easily, but also other sites if they want to do that. The API sits by itself. And if they decide that they don't want to use one login in the future, the API can be updated to do that. We also separated the back end from the front end. So the front end, of which they've got 3 separate sites using omnichannel delivery, we separated that completely from the back end. So it is using a headless architecture that means that if they wanted to change the back end or the front end, they could do that in isolation. It wouldn't have a massive impact on the project. So longer term, this is much better for them. So on the Maxis project, built in Contentful, uptime is very important for them. Geographically, they get users from around the world, and it's important the site is up all the time. To do that, we used a 3-level caching technique. So we used caching in .NET, in Redis cache, and also in Cloudflare to make sure that the site was available all of the time. We also used load balancing in Azure. So there's multiple servers, app services behind the scenes. All the traffic goes through Azure front door and then gets sent 50% each way to make sure this covers traffic spikes. This also has the advantage that we have 0 downtime deployments because we can deploy to one server and take the other one offline. This is really important for them. As I said, they want uptime all the time. This is the solution that we came up with. So when using Contentful for the Maxis project, we used various features of the platform to make it a successful project. The first and most important is the data modeling. Maxis have got 3 sites on the front end, all with slightly different data models. We took the data and content that they had on the current site, we went through a data normalization task, we did the data modeling, we created the content types in Contentful. This is super important on any Contentful or any headless project for that matter, to do this upfront correctly because it informs the rest of the project. The second part we used was webhooks in Contentful. Content is cached in Cloudflare. We want to make sure that the content is up to date when they make a change in Contentful. So we use the webhook, so whenever they make a change, it automatically purges that single piece of content in Cloudflare. The third is that we used omnichannel delivery. As I said, they've got 3 different sites on the front end, but the advantage of using Contentful is that they can populate the content in one place within Contentful and push it to multiple sites. This gives cross-pollination of content. For example, a news article can appear on all 3 sites or just one. By using Contentful, this really helped us to make this more streamlined. So using Contentful on the Maxis project really enabled us to speed up the project process. On a typical project where you might use a monolithic CMS, you would generally build the entire site and then give it to them at the end of the process to populate after all the QA, etc. has been done. On Contentful, this is much easier because we can build the content type, content model up front and allow them to populate while we are still in build or still in test. This brings the period of population, which in our experience can be anywhere between a couple of weeks to a couple of months, into the project build itself, meaning the project timeline is reduced quite significantly. This obviously reduces the cost for the client and overall makes the project go live quicker.